Hi everyone, Ben here from Sydney Fruit Gardening. So today I'm just going to do a video on growing Rollinia in Sydney. Rollinia is definitely a subtropical fruit. It's from the Onona family, and it's one that can get affected during winter and needs a bit of protection to get through the Sydney winter here. Now this year we've had a very mild winter. The Rollinia trees have done really well and held on to some of their leaves, but as you'll see, they're still a semi-deciduous tree, and they will drop their leaves even when the weather's warm on the onset of spring to shoot out new growth. So I'll take you through both of my Rollinia trees growing here in the ground in Sydney. All right, so this is my first Rollinia that was planted in ground. I planted this one in the ground in December of 2020. And as you can see, it's grown pretty tall now. It's still a bit of a spindly looking tree, but it has grown reasonably tall. It is a seedling Rollinia, which I purchased from Daly's in 2019, I think late 2019. It's now, we're now in spring. It held on to its leaves all through winter, and actually most of them looks like this for the duration of winter this year, which is a bit uncommon. The prior year it looked a lot worse, and we did have a warmer winter, which no doubt helped, but I think also this planting of red Dhaka bananas acted as a bit of a windbreak. Wind, to be honest, is probably the natural enemy of the Rollinia. Aside from cold, it's really, if it's just cold but no wind, it's not too bad. But if it's cold and it's windy, these big leaves just act as sails, and they go like that, and they'll come off very easily. The Rollinia in Sydney does tend to get dieback each winter. See up here, this has died back a bit. The first year it was in ground, it got quite a lot of dieback without the protection of the bananas. But since then, this year, it's been really, really good. So when it's time for it to push out new growth during spring, it needs to get rid of the old leaves. So most of the websites say that it's semi-deciduous. Well, to be honest, every year it tends to lose pretty much, if not all, of its leaves, and it's replaced by new growth. You can see some of that new growth is starting already. More up here. The Rollinia likes a lot of water. I suspect it's a heavy feeder. I tend to compost it, or give it a bit of compost and feeding during the warmer months. This one has flowered but has not yet set fruit. If I look at the trunk size, this is a decent sized trunk now. It's getting bigger, so I'm quite hopeful that we might get fruit soon. Rollinia they call the lemon meringue pie fruit. It's I think the scientific name is Onona mucosa. I don't know if that's because the flesh has the consistency of mucus, but I prefer the other scientific name that gets around, which is Rollinia deliciosa, because it certainly is a delicious fruit. It looks like a yellow dragon's egg, is the way I would characterize it. Spiky ball, that can get to a decent size, a couple of, probably 2 kilos or so maybe. You cut it open, it's a white gelatinous kind of flesh that I find really has a very short sort of optimum time during which you can eat it. Now, I've had several Rollinias during my travels up north to FNQ, Far North Queensland, and I find there's a real optimum peak of flavour. So they're best chilled, and I find, you know, after you buy them from the markets and you want a little bit of give in the skin, but not too much, and that's just perfect. Chilled in the fridge is really nice. So that's my one seedling Rollinia that I got from Daly's. But if you do eat Rollinia, you'll find that they have a lot of seeds, and that the seeds germinate readily, quite easily, and that's what I've done with this other espaliered Rollinia. So this one, as I said, has been espaliered against some wires. I've chopped off the dead growth at the bottom there, and I should say this one was planted, I think, December or October 2021, so a year later than the other Rollinia that was planted in ground. It did have a bit of dieback down the bottom this year, so I've broken those dead branches off, but fortunately we can already see new growth, and that'll just take the place of those broken dead branches. This one is a bit more exposed than the other Rollinia, so we do get a bit of wind coming from down the side of the shed or along this way to the front of the street. So it is a little bit more exposed to wind, but also being tied back to wires, I think, kind of helps it as well. This one tends to shoot a bit earlier, loses leaves earlier, and it shoots earlier than my in-ground Rollinia from Daly's. It's only got this sort of 1 or 2 remaining leaves from last year. This is new growth now. The exciting thing is that I'm already starting to see quite a good number of flower buds. So these are quite small now, but there's one. If I just look up here, I saw a lot more when I looked last night. Here we go. That'll be another flower bud. So the flower buds tend to grow on the new branches that have come out. I think it's a bit early to tell, but I think that might be one just next to that new leaf coming. So it is very early, but we are starting to notice some flower buds starting to form on this Rollinia. Another one here. That'll be one. I did spray this with potassium spray not too long ago. I think that might have helped. There's another one up here. So a few flower buds coming on this one. It may still be too young to actually bear fruit, but it also gives me some hope that the other in-ground Rollinia might also be ready for flowering. So fingers crossed. That said, if some fruitlets form off this tree, I'll be very happy as well, and I'll definitely see if I can get them to grow. So there you go. That's Rollinia in Sydney. If you are based in Sydney or an equivalent climate, it's worth giving this kind of plant a go. As I said, they are quite a delicious, delicious fruit. One of my favourites. So highly recommend giving this a go. And yeah, happy gardening, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll start to do more videos as the weather warms up. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.